Imagine a cigarette that didn't cause cancer, or lung damage, or any sort of damage at all. At one point it existed and was going to come out, so if this was a thing that was invented, why aren't smokers using it today? Around the 1950s, a safer cigarette was in the process of being invented. This was shortly after tests were starting to emerge, definitively linking cigarettes to lung disease. Companies realized they had to figure something out, and they had to do it quickly, before everyone found out smoking was slowly killing them. So one cigarette company, Ligette and Meyers, set their sights on a goal that would change the smoking industry forever. Or so they thought.
The logical move. The logical move is L&M.
The safe cigarette, known as Project XA, was headed by James D. Mould, who started at the company in 1955. Dr. Mould immediately went to work on a safer cigarette. He worked for over 15 years until the 1970s, where a prototype for Project XA was complete. It was called the Palladium cigarette. What made it safer had to do with adding palladium nitrate into the tobacco. It combusted smoke more thoroughly, taking out toxins that would have otherwise ended up in your lungs. The cigarette apparently tasted exactly like regular ones, just with a whole lot less cancer. Having it taste the same was essential to the company, since they didn't want a diet cigarette situation happening that would turn off customers. And the crazy thing about this cigarette, it actually seemed to work. Ligette and Meyers ran the same test that was popular in the 1950s, the one that involved rats and pretty much exposed how horrible cigarettes were. The company ran those same tests and the rats came back okay. For the people who couldn't kick their smoking habit, this cigarette could possibly save millions of lives. Mould tinkered and perfected Project XA and slowly stockpiled a supply of palladium for the safer cigarettes. By 1978, it was finally ready to be marketed and sold. That was until it was stopped. The cigarette was much safer than other products on the market, but company lawyers had an issue with this. The lawyers were worried that selling a safer cigarette and marketing it as such would defame the company and all their other products.
Everyone would have come to them and said, all these years I've been smoking something, you've been selling me something you knew was a poison. And now, all of a sudden you say, all right, now I have a safe version of the poison and you can smoke that. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say to people.
This was at the height of cigarettes finally being realized as a dangerous substance, which then brought a ton of courtroom battles for cigarette companies. Not only that, but the company wanted Dr. Mould to hide all his evidence and tests. Remember the ones he conducted with the palladium cigarettes? It showed the rats he tested on weren't getting cancer. If this were to come out at the same time, it would prove that Ligette and Meyers' regular cigarettes in fact did cause cancer, something they were actively denying at the time. And unfortunately for Mould, the issues didn't stop there. Other tobacco companies didn't want the safe cigarette coming out either, following the same logic as the company lawyers. A product known as a safe cigarette would make everything else look dangerous, effectively toppling an entire industry. And the reason palladium wasn't used to make all cigarettes is due to the cost of the material. Not only that, but all these tobacco companies were battling litigations together. If Ligette and Meyers ended up releasing the safe cigarette, the other companies would refuse to help them in court, forcing them to fight for themselves. Companies even went so far as to threaten Ligette and Meyers' entire existence if they were to ever release the product. So the palladium cigarette was ultimately abandoned. Some reports have the company literally burying all evidence of it in sand. Reasons for why this happened are unclear to this day. Project XA was just too great a risk from a political and marketing perspective. Since then, other companies have kept trying to make a safer cigarette but have failed each time. Either taking out chemicals that would be too dangerous or taking out things that would make it unacceptable by consumers. No one has got it right since palladium cigarettes, a project that took over 25 years and never saw the light of day.